Hello, my name is Dayen, and today I'm gonna speak about how boarding school changed my life. So it's a really personal story about my year abroad of my own country, which is France, to go in England. So when I was 14 years old, my parents used to be mad at me because of my behavior at class or at home and because of my marks. So I started to be threatened by my old middle school, and I had to change my behavior because otherwise I will be dismissed of the school. So my parents were thinking about sending me into a boarding school, but where? I didn't know yet. But I was far to imagine that I was going in England, so far away of France. So now our boarding school changed my life. So at the beginning, as an international student who was speaking English like a Spanish cow, I was really worried about the language and about to be far away of my family and my friends. But I figured out that many people were in my case. So it became easier to progress in English and to meet new mates. And I was the only French student in the school, so I had no choice. I had to speak English. So there's three parts in your lifestyle that are really important in a boarding school, especially in England. So there's time to work, there's time to do sports, and there is time to do whatever is making you happy within certain limits. And I think that was the key of success for school, because that actually worked a lot for me. So now, as an old member of the French educational system, it's impossible to compare them because they're really different. So for example, the behavior of the students are different because they're way motivated in England to learn. Also, sports has a really relevant role in school's life, and the timetable is really strict to give you the ability to perform those three things every day. But there is not bad things in the French system, but I mean, for example, the size is completely different because I was in countryside, so that was much easier, but it was completely different. For example, my school was like a small village, like all the sports that you can imagine of were available to practice there. And that was amazing. And that also worked for the key of success, I think. So you could do like basketball, rugby, tennis, even cricket. And that was the key, I think. Now, let me talk about a typical day in my boarding school. So I started lesson at 9 a.m. and I finished at 3:30 p.m. And after that, I got 2 hours of sports, depending on what you have chosen. But me, it was tennis and rugby because I was part of the school team. But you could do many things such as squash, even table tennis, or even chess. After that, believe it or not, but it was time to eat dinner at 5:30 p.m. I know that sounds crazy. You come back to the boarding house for a quick roll call, and here you go to the computing room for 1 hour and a half of prep. Yes, you were forced to be stuck in a room to do your homework. And I think that was really useful for me because when you finish, you're like, okay, so no stress anymore, just like relax. Sometimes you have to do a spare like 30 minutes, but anyway, that's just the day before an exam. So now let's talk about a universal thing, a really important thing for me. So when you are in a boarding school, you meet people, and they will become really important for you. And I think they will become like your second family. And that is really important. I did crazy meetings. I met Noah from Belgium, Brandon from England, Linus from Germany, and Jeff from Hong Kong. And this thing was even more emotionally crazy for me because they were people from around the world. And that was amazing. Now it's completely different, but I had to do sports because with the amount of food that I used to consume every day, I needed to lose weight, but I gained a lot of muscle as well with my physical activity, but I needed to do sports. So now let's come back to the subject. Now I'm gonna tell you a bit of the bad aspects of boarding school because yes, they exist. So first one is the fear of an everyday routine. If you want to feel free at all time, you're going to know that boarding school are not adapted for everyone because you're basically doing the same thing every day. the time you go to bed, the food, the sports, your friends. But that's not all the time a bad thing, because if you find the right activities, the right friends, the right person around you, it will be amazing. The second aspect could be taken as a bad or as a good aspect. For me, it was one of my favorite because I loved it, because I don't know, it's in my personality. In the English school system, competition is everywhere. And it's really everywhere, like in theater, in lessons, in sports. And that was so cool. Because, for example, like every Monday morning, I was in assembly and people were rewarded. And so, like every Monday morning, with the entire school, I got 2 prizes. I got the prizes of the best tennis player and the best international student at speech. And that could push the students to work harder every day, or it could push you down. But for me, it paid off and we worked harder every day. And some of my friends didn't like it, but I think it was a really useful thing for me. So now, overall, I think you have to be aware that boarding schools are not adapted for everyone. I think I explained it earlier, but that's really important, and they are really different from each other. Mine was West Bucklands. I think they will recognize them when they will watch the video, and that's really cool. But you have to find the one that fits you the best, and that's really important, because like you're alone and you are in front of hundreds of people that you don't know. You gain in maturity, you don't see your parents too often, so you want to make them proud. You want to be proud of yourself. You want to learn a new language, and you are meeting a second family. Anyway, I hope those 5 minutes make you wish to try it. And I remember that 14-year-old boy who was terrified to assume his mistakes in France, and now a 17-year-old boy who, according to his mom, grew up too fast. Thank you for listening.